However, many older adults are unaware of the risks that could quietly drain their savings, undermine their independence, or leave them vulnerable to financial and emotional manipulation. The truth is that protecting your assets in your later years requires more than just common sense. It requires awareness, strategy, and a few grounded rules that are often unsaid. In this video, we're going over 4 essential rules that every older adult should know to protect their wealth and peace of mind after 70. Did you know that you could lose everything you've built in your entire life just because of a few mistakes after 70? It's a difficult thing to consider, especially after decades of building a life, a family, and a nest egg meant to carry you through retirement with comfort and dignity. These are tried and true ideas derived from actual experiences, not merely recommendations. You'll discover how minor choices can have significant repercussions and how to recognize the subtle red flags that could cost you everything from defending your legal rights to keeping up with your daily costs. Because this isn't just about saving money, it's also about protecting your freedom, dignity, and sense of security that you've earned over the course of your life. Even a small change in your approach to financial decisions can have a significant impact on your loved ones as well as yourself. If you believe you're already cautious enough, this may surprise you because the biggest risks often come from the places we trust the most. Let's start with the danger of giving someone complete control over your finances. One obvious way people unintentionally lose their assets after the age of 70 is by giving someone else too much financial control, frequently with the best of intentions. It usually starts with the desire to simplify life in order to get a little help from a loved one or to ensure that bills are paid on time. But what may seem like a small act of trust can turn into a situation that's difficult to undo. You may believe that your son knows what's best, or that your daughter would never take advantage of you, and while that may be the case, it's also sometimes due to misunderstandings, mistakes, or pressure from people in their lives that you don't even anticipate. This type of power can be dangerous, especially if you're not fully aware of what legal rights you're giving away. Unfortunately, once money disappears or decisions are made in your name, it's difficult to recover what's lost. For example, an 82-year-old man named Gerald decided to put his nephew in his bank account because he needed help paying some online bills. When you give someone access to your accounts through co-signing or joint ownership power of attorney, you're often giving them the keys to your financial life. Although the nephew didn't commit any crimes, he gradually began to use the account as though it were partially funded by his little withdrawals, pointless purchases, and even a few loans to his acquaintances, which added up to several $1,000s. The difficult issue is that just because you trust someone doesn't mean you should cede power. Gerald didn't realize until it was too late, and the bank informed him it was legal because the account was joint. People frequently believe that adding someone to their accounts or transferring power of attorney will safeguard them. But in reality, these legal tools can take away protections. These tools aren't harmful in and of themselves, but they need to be set up with certain restrictions. Verifications and records relying on family harmony or goodwill is insufficient, because as we age, we become more susceptible emotionally and physically. Financial predators are aware of this, and sometimes it's not a stranger who defrauds you, but rather a close friend or relative who progressively goes too far without you noticing. For this reason, maintaining control over your accounts is the safest course of action. Keep separate records and, if necessary, seek assistance from a trained legal professional to draft precise terms. Restricted power of attorney if you want to ensure that no one, not even your closest family member, can make a significant financial decision on your behalf without safeguards in place. Revocable trust or monitored access accounts can help you maintain control while still receiving the support you require. Think of it as shielding both you and them from regret in the future. Setting limits doesn't imply that you don't trust your loved ones. Rather, it shows that you're mature enough to understand that even decent people can make poor choices if they are given too much unbridled authority after the age of 70. Protecting your decision-making ability is frequently the first step in safeguarding your assets, because it can be difficult to regain once it is lost. The second is the quiet drain of ongoing costs and out-of-date financial obligations. Taking little risks isn't the only way people lose their fortunes after the age of 70. Whether it's an old magazine subscription, a streaming service you haven't used in years, or insurance coverage you no longer need, recurring expenses have a way of slipping into the background and showing up month after month like clockwork, silently eating away at your retirement savings. Many older adults continue to pay for things they no longer use, need, or even remember signing up for. These minor fees mount up more quickly than most people think. Take Sandra, for instance. She is 76 years old and comfortably lives in a modest home. But one day her daughter asked to look over her credit card statements and discovered that Sandra was paying for 3 different identity protection services, 2 streaming services she had never used, and a gym membership she hadn't used since before the pandemic. In total, this was almost $3,000 per year that was subtly slipping through the cracks. Over time, that money could have been spent for better meals, home renovations, or even tiny pleasures like family visits, but she never felt the impact on a daily basis. Family, it's not always about overspending. It's often about out-of-date spending decisions that made sense 5 or 10 years ago, but no longer make sense. After the age of 70, your financial priorities change, and you may not drive as much, travel as much, or need the same types of insurance coverage you once did. However, companies rely on auto-pay systems and auto-renewals to continue collecting money from people who forget or avoid going through the hassle of canceling, and when your income becomes more fixed, even small recurring charges start to matter. There's also a psychological reason for this. As we age, many of us fear change and cling to routines, even when they aren't serving us anymore. It's uncomfortable to dig through old paperwork or call customer service numbers that are meant to be frustrating, but doing nothing can cost you more than you think, both financially and emotionally. The sensation that funds vanish without any explanation, examining all of your bills, automatic payments, and service plans each month may not seem thrilling, but it may be surprisingly empowering. Ask a trusted person to help you assess it. If you're not utilizing it, or don't completely understand its purpose, there's no shame in recognizing that you've been overpaying for something. The only shame would be in allowing it to continue out of fear. Whether it's pride or lethargy, there are even tools available in today's digital age that can help you locate and quickly cancel unwanted subscriptions. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please leave a comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. If you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest you do so and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Eliminating wasteful spending isn't just about saving money. It's about regaining control and ensuring your hard-earned assets are going toward things that truly support your quality of life. Every dollar you recover from a pointless expense is a dollar you can use to make your days brighter, your body healthier, or your heart more at ease. Your assistance enables us to keep producing quality content that will educate and motivate you. Let's move on to the next point, which is the significance of diversifying your sources of income. Diversifying your income, even in small ways, becomes a crucial form of protection, because for many older adults, they heavily rely on a single source of income, usually Social Security or a pension. While these are important, they are not always stable and rarely keep up with the true cost of living. When your entire livelihood depends on one stream, even a small disruption can feel like an earthquake. This is one of the most overlooked but crucial rules to protecting your financial well-being after 70. Let's talk about Frank, a 74-year-old retired school teacher who for years relied only on his Social Security and pension. This was sufficient until his property taxes increased, medical expenses began to mount, and inflation started to reduce the value. After age 70, diversifying your income doesn't have to entail taking on a part-time work or investing in stocks. It can be as easy as finding tiny, reliable sources of income that relieve some of the strain. Options that provide flexibility include a well-structured annuity, a downsized rental property, or even turning a hobby into a small side business. When life surprises you, as it always does, having multiple sources enables you to adapt without panicking, and there's a profound sense of empowerment. That comes from knowing you have multiple safety nets. Psychologically, it lessens anxiety and empowers you to take charge of your financial destiny rather than feeling helpless against bureaucracy, or when you have even little backups, you can walk with more confidence because you know you have options. Increasing prices and relying solely on Social Security can feel like walking a tight RPP without a net. One delayed check or policy change can put you in a tight spot. There are safe, straightforward strategies that don't require in-depth financial knowledge, and you can talk to a trusted advisor about low-risk dividend portfolios. However, some people are reluctant to diversify because they think it's too late or too complicated. They think I'm too old to start something new, or I don't understand investments. You can use resources to create shared income projects that benefit everyone, such as renting out a room, teaching a class, or selling vintage collectibles online. What's more, not everyone realizes that you don't need to make a lot of money even. An additional $1 or $200 per month can make a big difference. It can pay for food, prescription drugs, or that trip to see the grandchildren. You've worked your entire life to save and provide for yourself, so you deserve to enter this chapter with strength and peace rather than fear. This peace often comes from knowing that no matter what happens to one aspect of your income, you've established other paths to keep you steady. It's not about wealth, but rather freedom that lets you make decisions based on what you want rather than just what you can afford. Diversification is a life strategy for aging with resilience, not just a financial one. Self-reliance. The unspoken dangers of out-of-date estate planning and improperly designated beneficiaries. Many people believe that once they've created a will or set up a trust, their estate is protected and there is nothing more to worry about. But the truth is, estate plans are living documents, and if they're not reviewed and updated regularly, they can become traps rather than safeguards. Sadly, most people don't recognize the harm until it's too late to repair it. Obsolete documentation, imprecise instructions, or obsolete beneficiary designations can result in expensive legal fights, strain family ties, or assets ending up in the wrong hands entirely. Consider the case of Harold, a retired engineer who is 81 years old. In his 60s, when his kids were still young and his financial circumstances were completely different, he wrote his will, naming his older brother as executive and naming an ex-girlfriend as the beneficiary of a small life insurance policy he forgot he even had. Fast forward 20 years, and his brother had died. His relationship with his kids had grown up nicely, and he hadn't spoken to the ex-girlfriend in decades. However, because he neglected to update his documents, the insurance money ended up going to someone who was no longer involved in his life, and his kids had to deal with the rest of the situations, which, as you might imagine, are frequently as although documentation doesn't change on its own, life does. Perhaps you have remarried, a trusted person has moved away or died, or you have sold off old assets or acquired new ones. These changes have an impact on how your estate should be managed, and if your paperwork don't reflect those changes, the courts will have to make an incorrect interpretation of your wishes. Another frequent mistake is failing to verify beneficiary designations on bank accounts, life insurance policies, and retirement funds. These designations truly take precedence over your will. So if your will states one thing but your account documentation states another, the account beneficiary will benefit. Many families have been astonished and devastated by this silent loophole, particularly when an estranged relative or former spouse ends up getting assets intended for someone else. Reviewing your estate plan doesn't have to be complicated. A good first step is to simply read through your will, trust documents, and any accounts with named beneficiaries. People often avoid revisiting these documents because they find them overwhelming or emotionally difficult. It's about protecting your legacy and ensuring that the people you care about are taken care of the way you intended, as well as avoiding confusion, conflict, and unnecessary expenses down the road. Consult a knowledgeable estate lawyer or financial advisor if something seems out of date, ambiguous, or inconsistent. Talking to your loved ones will help them understand your wishes and feel involved in the process, preventing them from being left in the dark or frantically rushing through a time of loss. Keep in mind that estate planning is a continuous process that reflects your changing connections and values in life. One of the most considerate and responsible things you can do for your possessions and the people you care about most is to keep your plans up to date. By doing this, you're maintaining calm, clarity, and dignity for yourself and those who will come after you. Please let me know in the fourth comment below whether you're still watching this video and find these insights helpful. Whether you haven't subscribed yet, I suggest doing so and turning on the bell so you don't miss any more videos. Your assistance enables us to keep producing quality information that will educate and motivate you. Let's proceed. Last thoughts as we come to the end of this video, I would like you to pause and consider the 4 fundamental rules we have discussed today. Which one most impressed you? Was it about maintaining financial control, reducing unnecessary spending, creating new sources of income, or making sure your estate plans are current? Every guideline contains some knowledge of its own, and when combined, they form a solid foundation that will enable you to age with assurance, clarity, and peace of mind. This is about your independence, dignity, and capacity to design the life you desire in your older years, not just about money. One of the most common misconceptions about getting older is that it means losing control, but the reality is that you have more power than you realize. Every decision you make, no matter how small, can either protect or jeopardize your future. The good news is that it's never too late to make a better decision. Whether it's looking over your bank statements, going over your legal documents again, or just asking a trusted advisor for advice, these little actions send a strong message that your future still matters. If this video made things clearer to you or reminded you of something crucial, I urge you to act now. Even a small change can have a big impact and safeguard not only your money, but also your health and peace of mind. You've put a lot of effort into getting to where you are today, so it's time to safeguard what you've accomplished for the benefit of everyone who loves and admires you. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please subscribe